What is self-love? Hi, I'm Miriam and I teach emotional intelligence skills. So you may think that self-love is knowing that you are worthy of love. Yes. Knowing that you are worthy of loving yourself. Yes. Knowing that you are just worthy. Yes. Maybe you have already stood in front of a mirror practicing to say I love you to yourself. If you're doing that, keep doing that. Absolutely worth it. Maybe you've been telling yourself I am worthy every day. Again, keep doing that. Wonderful. Self-love is more though. Much, much more. So when you know something, that's the great first step. You know and you've accepted that you are deserving of love. Maybe you have gone a step further and you have done things to understand the concept. Maybe you've made a list of all the amazing things you've done in your past life, and that's fantastic. This is the second part. You know I am worthy, and then you take the time and look for proof, right? For proof in your life. For proof that you love yourself. Maybe you remind yourself of the times when you treated yourself well. Great. Those are acts of self-love. And that is fantastic too. So we start with knowing, we go to understanding. And then the next stop is the crucial one. It's embodying. Embodying self-love. We all have very deep-seated beliefs that we might not consciously be aware of. But they influence the thoughts we think repetitively. They influence how we feel, our emotions, especially the ones that recur on certain subjects, and they influence our actions. When you embody a specific belief, it means you act on it without even realizing it. And these actions are often teeny tiny during the day. Now, knowing and understanding that you are worthy of self-love is great. But if your actions and your feelings and even your thoughts constantly undermine this knowledge, you're not really getting far. It means that deep down, you have not actually shifted this belief. So, how do you shift this belief? One of the best ways to do it, the easiest ways to do it, is through repetitive action. So repetition of your actions, repetitions of your emotions, and repetitions of your thoughts. You need all three because all three work together to form this belief. So if you want to shift from I am unworthy to I am worthy and deserving and I am so freaking awesome, all it takes is repetition and practice. How do I know this? Because that's what I did. I didn't even realize that I was practicing and embodying self-love over decades. I only realized it when I talked to women who were older than me and noticed how they were talking to themselves, how they were describing themselves, and the actions they took. And they would always put themselves second. They would always talk very, even when they said positive things about themselves, they were often self-deprecating. And I thought to myself, why don't I do this? Was I born this way? And I was like, I doubt that. Actually, we're all born that way. We're all born stinkingly in love with ourselves. We are so freaking in love with ourselves. We want to eat our own feet. But we are slowly and meticulously trained into not embodying the self-love anymore. We are trained to give other people the bigger slices of cake. We are trained into self-denial, especially women. We are trained into time pressure that does not allow us to take care of ourselves, and so on and so on and so on. So we are trained out of embodying the self-love. Now, when you want to come back to it, you gotta train it bit by bit. You gotta train back your self-love back into your system. You gotta embody it again every single day, 50 times a day. And when I realized that this is what I've been doing, what I've been learning self-love techniques since I was a teenager. And I've been practicing them since I was a teenager. And now they are so automatic that I easily embody self-love. It's second nature. Yeah, there are still a few things where there are still old stories that get in the way. I used to, for example, give people the better piece of cake or the better piece of food or whatever, or I would not share leftovers but eat them myself and stuff like that. Really small things, but these small things matter because these small things show you what you deep down still believe. If you treat yourself worse than you treat other people, you're not fully embodying your self-love, because self-love means that you are just as good as everybody else and that you deserve to be treated just as well as everybody else in every tiny detail of your day. So, you may have already practiced self-love techniques, you may have learned them in the past without realizing it. These are all kinds of techniques like taking care of yourself, like self-care days, how to do it without guilt or shame, and how to, small things, how to not make yourself eat terrible food that is actually gone off because you don't want to waste it. No, put yourself first and actually allow yourself to only eat good food. Taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, taking care of your soul, all of it. So when you want to double down on this, on self-love, you want to actively learn as many self-love techniques as possible and implement them throughout your day. The more you learn, the less time you have for all those recurring thoughts. And you notice, because when your new default becomes you are in love with yourself, you will notice anything else that doesn't actually fit this love anymore. If you start beating yourself up with your thoughts, you will notice, hey, no, we're not doing that anymore. And so on and so on. And little by little, you embody self-love. And do this long enough, it becomes your new default. And you become just as much in love with yourself as when you were a child. If you want a little bit of help, I have a free course, A Month of Self-Love, which gives you 5 self-love techniques to start with. I also have a longer course, A Year of Self-Love, if you are still interested to keep going with my courses. But start with a free course first. Everybody deserves to be in love with themselves. Everybody. It's amazing. Just practicing all these self-love techniques all throughout the day, embodying the self-love every single day, means that when I have a good idea, I actually think I'm awesome. I'm so brilliant. That was such a great idea. No doubt at all anymore. And that is what everybody deserves, especially you. All right. Have a wonderful day.